Good morning, everyone. So I've already been getting a lot of people asking me what I'm going to be doing for NaNoWriMo this year, and my response to them is a very, very confident, I don't know. But I do have some suggestions for everyone else who's doing NaNoWriMo this year while I try to figure out what I'm doing because my brain is all over the place. First off, get a really good outline together. Really multiple page long down to details outline, because that'll make things work. The one time I've actually succeeded in NaNoWriMo, I had I think 14 pages of outlining, plus I did a whole lot more from the date today when I wasn't actually writing the book. I've completed it, and it hasn't really gone anywhere else, and I actually think I have to rewrite the whole gosh darn thing if I wanted something to be worth publishing. Well, that's not important right now. The second thing I would consider is get the assault pen. Now this seems really benign, but I assure you it holds up to the title of assault pen very well. You have your normal pens, which are capable of one color. That is something you do not need a license to use, and even Hillary Clinton would have nothing to say against as far as pen control goes. Then you have your standard 4-color pen, which has 4 colors. That requires a lot more training to use, but can provide much better efforts, or much better success in organizing your notes and getting your outline together. And then, once you have that mastered, you can get the assault pen. 10 splendid colors at your disposal, complete with in this very handy magazine to hold all 10 colors. Some nations have banned this for multiple purposes because they think no one should have access to all 10 colors in ink. But I say phooey to them. We're America. We live, breathe, eat, and poop freedom. Probably all on the same day, but that's neither here nor there. Consider that I use this on a regular basis and have filled multiple notebooks with all 10 colors because it's easy to start out my thoughts. That way, a recipe does not get mixed up with my outline, and an outline doesn't get mixed up with my recipe, which makes for the most awkward bowl of alphabet soup you have ever had. It's wonderful. Each day gets its own color. Side notes get their own little thoughts. Like most of my thoughts on my garden are purple, because why not? It makes a lot of logical sense. All the stuff I need to warn myself about are red, because everything you need to be warned about is in red. Seriously, stay away from roses and red crayons. They are diabolical. And as NaNoWriMo progresses, make sure you know that all the best laid plans get laughed at by Murphy, as in Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. But to counteract that, you must sharpen the blade of Occam's razor, which is that the simplest answer is usually the best answer. Right? So, all of you writers and wannabe, or not, well, wow, that sounded prideful, and I'm not going to be like that. To everyone who thinks that they have a story worth telling, first off, you do. Okay? We're all stories. Those are the one things that hold some sense of immortality for us, is stories. We're still talking about the Ballad of Gilgamesh, right? And he's been dead for thousands of years. Every culture has some semblance of the flood story, and let's face it, everyone's got miniature little people that are unusually violent for their size. Everything from the pixies, to goblins, to fairies, to Oompa Loompas. Rewatch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You'll see. So first off, you do have a story. And second of all, realize that there's no such thing as a new idea. But this should not dissuade you. Just because there's no such thing as a new idea doesn't mean there's not a new way to look at the same old idea. Consider the success of Marissa Meyer, who, coincidentally enough, her first novel was a NaNoWriMo experiment. Cinder. Right? It's just a Cinderella story. Cyborgs are nothing new. Cyborgs and Cinderella, well, now you're starting to talk my language. Throw in, oh gosh, what was her name? Megan, what's her name? The assistant, the sidekick. Aiko. Okay, how could I forget about Aiko? Be still my whirring fan blades. If that is not an epically written line, you are not American. Which is bad for me to say because lots of people outside of America enjoy the Lunar Chronicles. But awesomeness is declined if you do not like that line, and I will hold myself to it. So start throwing ideas together. Even if it takes a dartboard or one of those little bingo cages that make a lot of noise, if you're into that thing, start throwing ideas together. If you start to stagnate, if you start to get bored, kill someone. It works. I think that's how George R. R. Martin works. That might be a totally different thing. Just keep plugging. Everyone's thinking they're not going to write until they've got the perfect thing on paper, but the idea is that you get something on paper and then make it perfect. We even hear leaders of churches saying things like there's no such thing as good writing, only good rewriting. And that holds true no matter your circumstances. So don't be afraid to get poop on paper, because when poop is on paper, then it can be sculpted. And that makes it better. But seriously, if you feel like your writing's starting to stagnate and you don't feel like killing someone, throw a wrench in the works. Drop something unusual and bizarre. Talk to the person next to you and decide what should be added. Don't give them any context or clues, just, I need to add something to this book. And you'll find that it's often really very interesting. For example, I'm writing critical and near the end of it, and there was a part where I just couldn't get things moving, and I felt like I was just walking around in a circle trying to describe the same thing while trying to find the one thing that leads me to the next thing while taking me to the next scene in a most spectacular manner, because that's what good writing should do. And I kept thinking about it, and then my brain said three-legged corgi. I don't know why my brain said three-legged corgi, but my brain said three-legged corgi. So there's now a three-legged corgi in critical. And the name of the corgi is fennel, like the seasoning, or plant, or bulb, or whichever part of the plant you enjoy. And he's been a very interesting addition. And he moved the story along surprisingly, with his awkward little gait and inability to believe that some people aren't friends, as all corgis are wont to do. So, to everyone trying NaNoWriMo this year, I salute you. Failure or not, you are doing a thing, and that is commendable. I commend people who do things. For everyone not doing NaNoWriMo, find someone who is doing NaNoWriMo and support them. National Novel Writers Month is not an easy thing to do, but it's how we're getting good stories out of it. It's how we're getting people who want to do things instead of comment on how other people are doing things, because commenting on how other people are doing things is useless. It does nothing for either party, really, whether you're talking politics or cooking. And that's as far as I'm getting into politics, because, I can't honestly say anything new on the subject that hasn't already been said. So, comment below what you might be writing about for NaNoWriMo, or if you have a friend who is looking into National Novel Writers Month, what are they writing about? And how do you plan on supporting them? Snacks work. And if you happen to be reading this and find out that I'm doing NaNoWriMo, Mountain Dew Kickstart, right? It's helpful because it has the caffeine, but it's got a third of the sugar as a standard bottle of Mountain Dew. So it's healthier crap for you. All right, go to and create.